What's up, everyone? Jeremy Gerard from Mythic Customs here with one of my short customizing tutorial videos. Today's video, we're going to look at how to paint match the Thistlethorn figure. So this is a really cool figure from the Advent of Decay wave. It's on like a goblin-sized body. It's actually a goblin. It's a kind of goblin called a fuzz monk. Really fun figure, but it's also a figure that I've used as a base in a number of customs, including for this guy here, which is my rabbit character. This is a race that I call the Lapine race. This is a character called Dickens. So this character, it's a Thistlethorn body with some accessories added. The head and the feet, the rabbit head and rabbit feet, were sculpted by Walter DeMarco of Mass Customs, and they were printed by Len from Wolf King Customs, based on a design that I helped create to create this character. Really fun piece to use. And as I was doing it, when I was painting the feet have a little bit of armor on the top of them. I had to paint match that armor to the green metallic color of Thistlethorn. There's even some highlights on it that I also had to paint to match kind of the chrome color that we see on Thistlethorn as well. Not chrome, excuse me, the bronzish type color. So I figured it'd be great to shoot a video because I found a recipe that I think works really well. And I'm not usually much of a paint matcher. Usually when people reach out to me and they say, hey, how would you match this certain character's colors? I always send them elsewhere. I tell them to go talk to Nikki or to Dennis or somebody, Zombie 13, somebody who's better at paint matching than me. I tend to just guess. However, this one I think works really well, and I want to share it with you. So first things first, let's get a better look at this custom. This is the custom that I'm talking about right here, the Lapine warrior named Dickens. And specifically what I want to show you, I'm going to zoom in right here on his feet. So that's how his feet look. Now, obviously, the lower legs that you're seeing there, those lower legs are part of Thistlethorn, but everything really below that lower leg from the ankles down, which includes the rim of armor that's on top of the feet, those are all part of the custom piece. That is what we are going to be painting, okay? When I paint these, specifically when I paint the armor on these, I use a process that I talked about recently on one of my Mythic conversation shows, specifically the one where I did a live paint on air where I painted a Taurian Minotaur to be the protector of the icy tundra. For that figure, I wanted to turn some of that blue armor into a silver. And what I did was a process where instead of just starting with that metallic paint, I find that a lot of metallic paints, especially the ones that I use, they tend to not give a really nice even coat over what I'm trying to cover. Instead of just trying to paint that metallic right on whatever I'm trying to coat, what ends up happening when I do that is I have to put so much paint on it that it looks unprofessional. It's really thick and globby, and that just looks bad. Instead, I have found it's a lot more effective to use a regular color paint, not a metallic, as a base coat and get the coverage you want from that base color, and then to dry brush the metallic on top of it. You get the best of both worlds. You get a nice, smooth, even coverage from the base layer of paint, but then you get that metallic shine that you see on a figure like Thistlethorn. That's what we're going to do here. So we're going to use 3 different paints today. We're going to use a base color of green that's close to the armor color. We're going to use a metallic green, and then I also have a coppery type one to get some of those highlights. Let me show you the paints that we're actually going to use here. Took a picture of them before this started just to be able to share them effectively with you. So here we go. You can see these are the 3 paints that I'm using. The base color that I'm using for coverage is the one all the way to the right. That is by Vallejo. That is number 70.967, and the color is olive green. Vallejo is a kind of a hobby brand style paint. It's obviously more expensive than the paints that you're going to find at like a Michael's Crafts or, like an AC Moore or a Hobby Lobby. A lot of those craft store brands, they are a less expensive kind of paint, but they are also lesser quality. And that's not to take anything away from them, because if you look in this photo, you can see that the other two paints I'm going to use are actually by DecoArt and by Craftsmart, which are two paints that you would find at a craft store. Specifically, I got these at Michael's Crafts. Vallejo is something that I get usually online, a lot of times from Amazon. This particular one, it gives me some really, really nice coverage. I actually like it a lot. So that's what I'm going to use for the base coat. Next, I'm going to dry brush on that DecoArt metallic. And this specific color is called Festive Green. DecoArt Festive Green. That is going to be dry brushed on top of the base coat that I put on with the olive green to give me that metallic shine. And then finally, this Craftsmart Dark Copper is what I'm going to use to get that coppery highlight that I want. So really, really simple. Like I said, we start with a base coat. Let me show you what I mean there. I have one more picture to share. So in this example, you're looking at two different rabbit feet. The one on the left is actually fully finished. That's ready to go. That has all the metallics on it. The one on the right has only been painted. That rim, that front armor has only been painted with that olive green. It's a little hard to see from the photo, but even with just looking here at this photo that I snapped on my iPhone before I shot this video, you can see there is a metallic shine on the left that we just don't have on the right. The right is a much flatter color. Now, it is a close color to Thistlethorn's armor, and if you stop there, if you used it, it wouldn't look wildly out of place. But if you want something that matches a little bit closer, and maybe you're matching, maybe you want to give Thistlethorn some different shoulder pauldrons or some different, waist piece or a different torso, and you want to match that green, I think using this process, which quite frankly, once you've got that green base coat down, the next part of the process is so darn simple anyway. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do it. But this shows an example of the two different pieces of on the right, just that flat color, and then on the left, that dry brush piece with the metallics. So once again, what I'm going to do is whatever piece you're using, in this case is this little rabbit foot, I just take the color. I like to use these tester brushes. They're nice and flat here, and these sable brushes they're called. What I do is you take that paint, shake it up to mix it up, put it in your paint tray, and honestly, I'm not really dry brushing because I want to get full coverage, but I also don't want the brush to be so incredibly wet that it blows out the details. So it's still okay to dip that in there, maybe dry it a little bit, and then put those coats on. The drier your brush is, it doesn't have to be pure for dry brushing, but I always find that it's easier to control the flow of the paint when I don't have just paint dripping off my brush. Once that's totally dry, that's when I go to the metallics. And if you've seen me talk about dry brushing before, you're going to be well aware of this. Get that all ready to go. Put that in the paint tray. And then this is a time where I will dip my paint in there. And then I will use a paper towel, and you can see I've been messing around. You can see all the metallic, all dry brush there. That was used for this exact purpose. I would take that wet and I just dry it off here. So there's very, very little paint left on the brush. Once I have that very little paint, I would just lightly go over the green that I had painted. And it takes so little to do. All you have to do with that green is just a little bit, and it gives you that metallic sheen. And once again, this is something you can do. I'm giving you the colors to match Thistlethorn, but ultimately, even if you're not trying to match something, this process of a solid base color that's close to what you want to achieve, and then dry brushing the metallic on top of it, that is going to work for you really, really well. You do need the base coat to be somewhat close to what you want to that metallic to be. You can't do a base coat of just any random color. You can't just base it out in black and then say, now I'm going to dry brush the metallic on top of it. It will be metallic. You will get a little metallic sheen, but it's not going to give you that actual look. It's going to change kind of the color that you're going for. So try to get as close as possible with that base color, and then really close with the metallic, dry brush that on. That's super simple. The last piece that I do with Thistlethorn is just using that dark copper. And now I'm using this simply in this case for some little highlights. On the feet, let me bring up that photo again so you can see what I'm talking about. On the photo here, you can see that in the front of the armor, there's almost like two little like lace type pieces. I want to paint those with that coppery color so it matches some of the highlight colors on Thistlethorn. In this particular case, there's so little to paint that all I'm going to do is I'm going to put that color in the paint tray, and I'm going to use a really fine tip brush. And with that fine tip brush, I'm just going to paint those highlights. It's going to go on really, really well. I'm not going for like deep, large coverage, just painting a little area. These feet also have like little buckles on the side. I could do the same thing for that if I was going to cover a larger area. So if you look at, once again, this Thistlethorn body, you know, he's got like his upper legs are that kind of copper color, parts on his ribs and stuff, his upper arms. If I was painting a larger piece like that, say for instance, I wanted to paint his lower legs that copper color, I wouldn't just do this. I wouldn't just take the paint as is and try to slop that on. I was going for a larger color. Once again, I would start with a base coat that's close to what I'm trying to achieve, kind of like an orangish type color, like a deep brownish orange that's light copper. Then I would dry brush that on top of it to create that eventual look. That's it. That's what you're going for. If you want to match Thistlethorn, those are the colors that I recommend. Once again, Vallejo 967 olive green, and on top of that, DecoArt Metallics Festive Green. Really great 1-2 combination that I think will get you a nice color match to Thistlethorn. If you find videos like this helpful and you want more of them, certainly let me know in the comments. Give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Definitely helps me out. Until next time, I can't wait to see what you make.